Jamaica Bay. It's a place you've probably never heard of. For more than a century, it's where New Yorkers put the things they didn't want. But make no mistake, Jamaica Bay is alive.
I'm John Lenz, City and State Senior Editor, and joining me today is Dan Hendrick, the producer and writer of a new documentary, Saving Jamaica Bay. Thanks for joining us.
Great to be here, John.
And I wanted to ask you first, how did you get interested in Jamaica Bay? It's just a place maybe not everyone in New York City knows about, and I understand this is a project you're working on for 5 years. So where did this all start?
Yeah, it was about 15 years ago or so. I was working as a local newspaper reporter out in Queens, the Queens Chronicle, and like most folks, I'd never heard of Jamaica Bay, and I went down on some assignments, and the big issue at the time was the salt marshes. The salt marshes are kind of disappearing from the bay, and there was a big mystery about it, trying to get to the bottom of it. And along the way, I really got to see what an incredible place it was, amazing history, but especially getting to know all the people down there, and just you know, the struggles that they've been through, often against really long odds, and somehow they managed to prevail to really turn the bay around.
And you wrote a book about it, and now you have this documentary coming out on Thursday. You have your premiere. And just wanted to know, I guess, well, first of all, what struck me about this is a juxtaposition. That you know, in New York City, it's the largest city in the country, and then like right up within its borders, you have this massive, this open space. And I was wondering if you could talk about that a little bit, but sort of, you know, how that happened.
Yeah, you know, really interesting. So, you know, gosh, Jamaica Bay at one point used to be the center of like the oystering industry in New York. It was this place that was very distant from Manhattan and kind of the population centers in Brooklyn and whatnot. But, you know, as you see it today, you know, this is actually part of a national park. And, you know, the timing here is very interesting for the release of our film. You know, it's the centennial this year of the National Park Service, and Jamaica Bay is part of a national park called Gateway National Recreation Area. It's the heart of the park, if you will. And, you know, so few people know about Jamaica Bay, let alone know that it's a national park. And in some ways, we're hoping the film can really you know, do a little bit of soul searching among us New Yorkers. I mean, it's the city's largest open space by far, larger than 3 Prospect Parks, 3 Van Cortlandt Parks, and 3 Central Parks combined. Huge, you know, piece of open space, but it's not celebrated in the same way that you know, the Statue of Liberty or any of the other sites that we have here is. So we're hoping to change that with this film.
And you talked about the marshes, and that's something you touch on in the documentary. What is the current status, and is this something that can be brought back? Yeah,
it's a huge challenge. So I think the marsh loss right now is estimated, you know, around 40 acres a year. They've done a tremendous job in terms of restoring some of the larger marshes. It costs a lot of money to do it, but you know, you talk to people there, whether environmentalists or whether they're local residents, they say it's money well spent because, you know, you're protecting the environment, and also you're protecting a lot of these homes. And that's the interesting thing about Jamaica Bay. You know, it's a national park, it's pretty, but you know, in this era of climate change, it really, it protects us too. It's not just sort of this pretty thing, it's actually really vital to our own well-being of the whole city. And you know, during Hurricane Sandy, which came through midway while we were filming and really kind of threw us for a bit of a loop, we weren't sure where things were gonna go.
People come down and they sit and they look out the window and say, wow, what a beautiful view, and oh, this is great. But I always say you pay your dues, and you don't get nothing for nothing in this world. It's
like gone, everything's gone.
Real disaster, massive disaster.
But we really got to see just how important the bay is to protecting the mainland, and that's really what happened during the storm.
Yeah, and I would wonder, was that a turning point in terms of government, and more broadly, is there enough resources from government put into restoring this or protecting this area?
You know, that's a really good question. I'd say, you know, after the storm, there's been a lot of interest in the bay, and in some ways, Jamaica Bay could be a crucible or rather sort of a test case for what cities around the world do in terms of grappling with climate change and sea level rise. But it's a challenge. If you go out and look at some of the facilities out there, the public facilities, especially the National Park Service facilities, you'll find there's a lot of spray painted building. Unfortunately, there's a lot of litter all over the bay. Raises some real questions about the level of funding that we're putting in to care for Jamaica Bay. I mean, again, this is our national park. This is our national heritage in a way, and definitely it's challenging to be in the middle of a city, but we can definitely be doing a better job of protecting it.
And the documentary, again, is coming out Thursday. For viewers that want to check it out themselves, what's the best way to actually go and be able to see the documentary?
Yeah, we'll be at the Queens World Film Festival, and we're premiering our world premiere at the Museum of the Moving Image in Astoria on March 17th. So a great way to celebrate St. Patrick's Day. Go green, see a nice green environmental movie. Hoping people come out and listen. I think it's going to be just fun to be there. A lot of people will be there. Hopefully we'll have some VIPs turn out. Film is narrated by Susan Sarandon, who was just amazing to work with. So, we're hoping that everybody can turn out and be part of this sort of movement to improve the Bay for the long term.
Dan Hendrick, thank you.
Thank you.